Ti'n barod?
Ydw.
Okay, welcome to the kitchen of Ian Sturrock and Sons today. Gonna just talk you through a few recipes, things that you can do with some of the Welsh fruit varieties that Ian sells, starting off with an apple curd made with Tŷ yr Ŵydd, goose's arse apple. So we're going to start off, this is a recipe based on a River Cottage recipe, which is really delicious. Going to start off with 900 grams approximately of peeled and cored Tŷ yr Ŵydd apples. That's step one. So onto I'm still on step one actually. So coring, I don't know what device it doesn't really matter what you use. We've got one of these apple corers, or just use a sharp knife and cut the apple into quarters and peel and put into the pot. Do you want to have a look at the approximately 900 grams of apples in there? So this is, I'm doubling the recipe. You can do it with 450 grams of apples, that's fine. What I'm putting in here is the Tŷ yr Ŵydd apples, the goose's arse apples chopped up with the zest of 4 unwaxed organic lemons, the zest only, and a couple of hundred millilitres of water to start with. So that's step 2. Okay, come and have a look at the Tŷ yr Ŵydd in the preserving pan just with the lemon zest. So you're gonna keep that simmering away until it becomes sort of soft and fluffy, at which point you're either going to put it through a sieve or some muslin so that you've got a very fine puree. While that's happening, you're then going to add a whole, notice the Welsh butter, a whole block of 250 grams worth of butter to a double burner, where you've just got the water underneath a heat-proof bowl. Into that you're also going to add, seems like a heck of a lot, but 900 grams of sugar, granulated sugar, and you're also going to add the juice of those 4 zested lemons that you had. I'm sure this will be teaching various grandmothers to suck various eggs, but in order to get the most juice out of them, you want to give the lemon a good old roll before. Are you looking at me or are you looking at the lemon? Okay, give it a good old roll, yeah, before you open it up, and that just makes it easier to juice. Just comes out really nicely there. Ian, do you want to say something about Tŷ yr Ŵydd in terms of its cooking apple? When would you be picking it usually?
It's a very about now, which is beginning of September.
Yeah. So
even
cooker.
Earlier in some places. It's the earliest cooker that we do.
Yeah.
Also, it's good for if you slice it up, it doesn't go brown. Most apples do.
Yeah.
So it's one you can make
actually,
apple
you can
rings
see
out
that,
of.
Yeah, the apple rings, but you can also see, you know, there is, at the moment, there's just lemon zest in there. That's not got any acid to stop it from going brown, and it's quite nice and...
Not gone brown.
No, it ain't gone brown. You're not lying. There's a good thing to know. Okay, so that's the next step.
One.
Okay, come and have a look at the puree as it stands. So this is the sieved finished apple puree, to which I'm going to add the butter, sugar, lemon juice mix, which has been over a double boiler. The reason I've got a temperature thing, what do you call them? Thermometer, that's the baby. The reason I've got a thermometer in there is I'm going to add some beaten eggs in a moment, and I don't want this to be going over 60 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to add 9 beaten eggs to the mix now. Beaten with a balloon whisk, and you're going to carry on using that balloon whisk to whisk it into the apple puree mix. So, yeah, between 8 and 10 organic free-range eggs.
Lot of eggs, isn't it?
It is a lot of eggs, but you need that to set. Now, the important thing is, I mentioned earlier the reason for the thermometer. you're gradually adding the eggs to the apple puree mix, again over a double burner, but you don't want the mix to be so hot that the egg splits. It's not the end of the world. You can bring it back once it has split if you take it off the heat and just give it a good old whisk. But ideally you
What's
want
split
to...
mean?
Kind of curdles.
And curdle.
Curdles, yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's all of my eggs in. I'm just going to stand here now over the double burner, whisking and whisking and whisking for a bit. Now, one thing I wanted to say is when you were making the apple puree, you can, of course, add some extra flavours if you want at that point. Things that go well in this kind of curd would be ginger or maybe a bit of star anise. Lemongrass works really nicely. I think I'm just going to add a tiny bit of vanilla bean paste in with this curd mix so that it's a very nice sort of creamy custardy tasting curd. I've got my jars sterilising at the moment, so when this is ready to go I'll be just blooping it into those jars and you can see the finished product.
Okay.
One of the things I should have mentioned just then before you finishing it off is this process of adding the eggs to the apple curd mix is going to take probably about 10 minutes, and if you've got a thermometer then you're looking at sort of getting the mix up to about 82 to 84 degrees, and after about 10 minutes it should be getting thick and setting, and you'll be scraping the sides of your preserving pan down for lovely gloopy curd mix.
Yeah.
Right, so come in and have a look at the sort of consistency of the final curd. So that's it in its finished state now, and what I'm going to do is transfer it to the jars, which I've sterilised in advance. So just taking a couple of ladlefuls and putting them into the jars, and you end up with this sort of beautiful colour, slightly paler than a lemon curd maybe, similar, and they make really nice Christmas presents or just presents generally for people. You can fancy them up a little bit by maybe popping a star anise on the top, or maybe a bit of cardamom. Did you want to look at the star anise again?
Pop it on.
Okay, so I could just sort of drop that in the top. Just makes it look a little bit festive.
Not moving about.
It's you that's moving about. Or perhaps, yeah, another suggestion would be a bit of cardamom, green cardamom. I think the black cardamon's a bit strong. I've got here some preserved bergamot lemons from Greece. Not so easy to get your hands on, but it could preserve, lemons in syrup, just a little slither on top there would look nice. Or the other thing Ian was mentioning earlier about Tino Rosso being really good for apple rings. You could also just use a very small dried apple ring and pop that on the top. Makes a really nice present. So that's it for the first recipe from Ian Starrett's kitchen. Diolch am wylio, and there'll be more recipes coming later on. How's that?
Delicious.